Hey, what is up? This is the Leafs Convo light for a Thursday night. It is November 9th, 2023. Norm in London, Mike in Buffalo with you for about 15 minutes. There is either a lot to talk about when it comes to the Maple Leafs or very little. We'll sum it up with the confrontation of the reality of this team right now. It is not very good. A 6-3 loser to the Senators last night at Scotiabank Arena. The Capital Gang, Mike, needed a win,
Mhm.
and the Leafs facilitated it. Good evening.
Good evening, Norm. Well, I mean, I could simply go down the road of, this team never shows up against the bad teams, which,
Mm-hmm.
is the truth. I mean, they almost lose to Montreal, who are trying to lose this year, or at
Mm-hmm.
least they're not putting together a great team. They've lost to Arizona in the past, and
Right.
a team that is 115 points, 110 points shouldn't lose to teams that are at the bottom of the standings. That's where teams that are good show up. And Ottawa's been struggling, and they're desperate, and a lot of things have happened to them over the last couple weeks. That's no excuse, but it's bigger than that. And I think
Right.
people realize what the issues are. And I sort of joked about this, but it's true. If you think about going back over the last, just limit it to this century, limit it to the year 2000, the last time that the Maple Leafs had what many people would consider a top end or very good team defense, or a blue line that was good, was probably that era of the 2002 to 2004 Leafs with McCabe and Caberlet when they added Brian Leach. The defense was pretty solid at that point. It wasn't like the best in the league, but it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, it's the same siren song that we've been singing for 20 friggin' years. This team's defense blows. And I'm not talking about just the blue line.
Mm-hmm.
What has gone on in the Shanahan era is basically, you've got a bunch of really quality offensive players, and all they
Right.
want to do is score.
Mm-hmm.
And Sheldon Keefe sort of called them out last night. He's like, everybody's celebrating the fact that they're scoring goals. And okay, but to win in this league, you have to play at both ends of the ice. Tampa Bay learned that. Colorado learned that. Vegas learned that. And
Right.
this team has not.
You have to have the personnel to be able to execute the game plan. This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford in London, Ontario. OakRidgeFord.com. We still have an abundance of F-150, some Edge, a Mach-E, Escape on the lot right now. Massive discounts. If you are looking for a vehicle, you're in Southwestern Ontario, I'm your guy. You go see anybody else, you're going to pay more and not be treated very well. I will help you out on discount and certainly roll out the red carpet for you at Norman Oak Ridge Ford. On Instagram is how you can get in touch with me. 31 shots against last night, 6 goals. Joseph Wall,
Mhm.
everybody's poster child because anyone's better than Ilya Samsonov, looked pretty bad last night. Handling the puck was atrocious, but you need to have those circumstances and those failures to realize you got to be a little bit more cognizant and responsible of what you're trying to accomplish in your own end. But it really just exemplified what that whole night was about, Mike. And it has OGs and converts calling for better defense, echoing your sentiments. And we're not telling tales out of school. That's my new phrase, Mike. It's just so true. Mike Rushton was waiting to take part in the program today. Big fan of the show, guys. Wonder the odds of the Leafs ever getting a change of heart and trading a third rounder for Luke Shen back from Nashville, with Nash retaining 25% of the salary. Bottom line, Mike Rushton believes the Leafs need Luke Shen. We believe they need someone like Luke Shen, or maybe several guys like Luke Shen, to rectify what the hell's going on right now with that defensive group and deeper into the net, because all of this scoring and this inability to be able to stop scoring against, it's just a recipe for mediocrity, Mike. We all know it.
Well, okay. First, I'll answer Mr.
Yeah,
Rushton's question. They wanted Luke Shen. They
right.
they wanted Luke Shen back. They tried to get Luke Shen back. He got a phenomenal deal from Nashville. $2.7 million times 3 years. The Leafs were looking to pay him more than he was making over the last 3 years of his he was making around 850,000. They were probably going to pay him 1.2, 1.3. They were not going to pay him 2.75. So I don't think 25%. And first of all, he's hurt. Second of all, he's going to be back probably in a few weeks. But he chose to go to Nashville, and he got that long-term deal. So, and the Leafs don't have the cap space, so that's really a non-starter. Now, I wish they would have brought him back. I think he would have been part of the puzzle in terms of this defense. So, but that's here nor there. That's gone. I mean, I wish they would have brought back Noel Acciari. They could have used him as a PK guy. I wish they wouldn't have traded Sam Lafferty because they could have used him as a PK guy. They're using Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner heavy on the PK. Noah Gregor, who didn't kill penalties in San Jose, is killing penalties with the Leafs. Right. So I think there's some shortcomings there. But just go back to what you started with, Wall. I don't put that game on Wall. I mean, 2 of the 6 goals were bad. The first one was bad. The last one was terrible. I'm sorry. I don't think it was on him. I think it was, overall team defense was pathetic. The blue line was absolutely abysmal. And it wasn't like Simon Benoit and William Lagesson, although, they're not, I don't think they're borderline NHL defensemen.
Yeah.
The problem here is you're overplaying Morgan Riley and TJ Brody out of necessity because Timmins and McCabe and Liljegren are out. And John Klingberg and Mark Giordano have no business playing second pairing and 20 minutes a night. I mean, the whole point with Giordano was to limit his minutes, but because of injuries, he had to play more. And Klingberg, everybody knew Klingberg was a defensive liability, but you counterbalance that with him being a good offensive defenseman. He's got no points in 7 games, and he's a -6. How is that working?
This is crazy. This is the combo for Oak Ridge Ford, Norman London, Mike in Buffalo. We will be back for the Sunday Spectacular. Mark my words. We appreciate all of the support. Click the like button if you have one watching right now on YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed, we could use the subs. We do appreciate everything that you do for us in terms of frequenting the project. And Mike's a big hotshot on, I guess, YouTube Shorts right now. I'm cutting up the clips, Mike, and making sure that you're getting yours with the the segmented clips that really don't tell the whole story, Mike. So I usually cut them off before you elaborate, so everybody's yelling at you. And really, if you had time to explain, people would love you that much more. But we love you, Mike. Danny Grinnick, evening, boys. Still too early to panic, right? I'm going too early to panic. Here's the thing, Mike. What the hell would we be panicking about? That's the thing. Before the puck dropped on the first game with Montreal, were we of the expectation that this team was going to run the table and pound its way into an Eastern Conference final? What is there to panic about? When I look at the personnel, I see a team that might not make the playoffs. Really, Mike, again, we have no confidence in the goaltenders. The defense has been mismanaged from the way it's been put together. I don't really know what else Sheldon Keefe can do with the guys that he's got. Well, this is a team that can score all. I'll let you finish. A team that can score all world, but the rest of the team is mediocre. Well, this team, the way it's playing, might not make the playoffs, Mike. It's just true.
They were the favorite to win the Atlantic Division. They were picked by most of the experts to win the Atlantic Division. Now, those experts thought that Boston was going to be a wild card team, and they're in first place. They thought that teams like Ottawa and Detroit and Buffalo were, Detroit got off to a good start, but they're sort of falling back. Buffalo's 500. Ottawa struggled. Tampa Bay has been. I mean, you get what I'm saying here is like you saw the changes that the Leafs made, and there was a lot of players going out and a few coming in. The funny thing is, like, over the last few games, Max Domi's played better. Tyler Bertuzzi has played better. Klingberg has been a disaster lately, but I think again it's because of him being overplayed in the wrong position. He's got to be played protected minutes and first power play. But
Ecstasy Designs. Klingberg also rhymes with Mike's favorite Leaf, Akiberg.
yes, Aki Pateri Berg. Yes,
And
please.
David Hillman. Klingberg makes Hull look like Lidstrom.
No,
Oh,
and
shit.
please believe me, I had so many people
The OGs, baby.
I had so many people on social media saying Justin Hall is better than John Klingberg. You're high. You're absolutely, you're tripping because that's not, the thing is, there's something that has to be wrong right now with Klingberg because he is a very good offensive defenseman. He's pointing the first power play, and he's got no points in 7 games. So something is wrong. And I mean, there's a possibility he's a healthy scratch tomorrow in the Hall of Fame game against Calgary. And if you would have told me that it would have been such a dramatic fall from grace after 13 games or 12 games or whatever, I would have said that's crazy. But he's played badly. But honestly, the biggest of the additions that has been a disaster has been Ryan Reeves. And we talked about it on the last show. And again, he was on the ice for a goal against. The fourth line was out there for a goal against, and they don't score. And so when your fourth line is -9 or -10 or whatever it is, it's a big minus. You cannot survive. You need that line to do no harm, and they've continued to do harm over and over.
Reeves represents the Brad Treliving era, Mike, and it's one that has just begun, off to a rocky start in terms of personnel acquisitions, but it can get better. I mean, why the hell not try to right your wrongs? And we're talking a lot about Ryan Reeves when if this team were going in the other direction, we wouldn't be talking about him very much unless it's commenting on the odd scrap or hit or something that he would have done positive. So the fact that we're lamenting just a support guy and how unsupportive he is kind of a prime example of the way that a lot of us are reacting to this team right now through 12 games being where they are. Yeah, they've lost 5 of their last 6, and sure, there are stumbles to be had, and then you find your way. But looking at the roster, looking at this group of guys, it's the same dudes who can score a ton of goals and who have done pretty well scoring goals. But Jesus Murphy, they're almost 4 goals a game against. And is there any relief on the horizon, Mike?
Well, I mean, the ironic thing is they're actually playing well on the road. It's at home where they've been a disaster. They're 3-4 at home. They've given up over 4 goals a game against. The games that they have won at home was a 7-4 blowout of Minnesota, who is probably, other than them and I think San Jose, are the 3 worst defensive teams for goals against average in the league. They had a 4-1 comeback against Tampa and a 5-3 comeback against Montreal. The rest of the games they lost to such almighty teams as Buffalo and Chicago and now Ottawa. It's disgraceful how, I mean, honestly, if I'm a season ticket holder at Scotiabank Arena, I'm asking for my money back the way that this team is playing at home. So and good teams win games at home. You use your home ice advantage, and don't blame the crowd because they're quiet. That's bull crap. It's the fact that this team, for some reason, just doesn't play. It has not, at this point, played well at home, and they have to start showing up, or it won't be them winning the division. It'll be them battling for a wild card spot.
Yeah, a couple of tests over the next 72 hours. You have the Flames struggling, and obviously their connection to Brad Treliving, and then the Nikita Zadorov talk and all that kind of stuff. And I wouldn't put it past the Leafs to lose that game. And then you have the Canucks. What are their 9 wins? Doing pretty well. They're rebounding from a bit of a malaise. What are they going to do on a Saturday night at Scotiabank Arena? Are they going to take it to Maple Leafs? Just
I'm sure the
being aware.
I'm sure the Vancouver fans will be pissed off that game is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Vancouver, because they always get pissed off that they have to play a game at 7 p.m. Eastern time when the Leafs are playing in Vancouver.
Well, who cares about people in
Yeah, I know.
Vancouver?
I'm just making a point. It's
No,
yeah.
no, yeah. I mean, that's a West Coast versus East Coast thing in television. And look, maybe the Leafs don't deserve it, but they're still the breadwinners for that broadcast. And just going back to the point that I wanted to make, and it's me. It's not rhetoric. It's just reality. And yeah, I sound like a broken record. This roster, this group of players, does not look like a team that's going to barrel its way into the playoffs and go further than they did last year. I don't know. I don't know how you can argue that. I really don't. But Mike, that's okay. I'm not panicking. Whatever. It is what it is. I'm going to ride the wave with this group, and if somehow they can pull together, there's an acquisition, a trade, somebody comes back, somebody comes up, someone finds their way, someone does something they never thought they could do. The team battens down the hatches from the front end, through 200 feet of ice. Then sure, that'd be great, and I'm actually excited for that possibility. But the way it shapes up now, and what I'm seeing on paper in terms of personnel that represent the 23-24 Maple Leafs,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see a team that will, pound its way to a division win and carry on like it has an agenda and a vendetta and ready to collect, kick ass, take names, and start collecting money from teams they believe owe them big time.
Well,
How the hell do you see this group and conjure up a lot of inner confidence in terms of being a fan and knowing that maybe the time of a this long protracted run of futility may be coming to an end because this is the group? No way.
well,
Last word to you.
okay. I would like, I mean, obviously you can make the excuses about the defensive injuries, and I think that's a factor. I don't think that anybody thinks that some of the players that they brought in are playing at the highest level. They're not yet. But my issue here is, and I've been, like I said, singing this song for years, is that this team's defense, even going into the season, even being completely healthy, was not good enough to win a Stanley Cup, was not good enough, maybe not even get to an Eastern Conference final. So I think most people would agree with that point now. And maybe this is something that we ask in a poll. I want you to tell me how this team can make the additions to defense that are necessary for them to win. And the only thing that I can think of is the name that shall not be named, because they need money to pay a defenseman, not to pay another forward. And
It's in season, doing that in season to
well, I
save a
mean,
season. Is that the right way to go about it, especially with what 88 represents, not just
well,
what
I mean,
he can do on the ice, but how the fan base feels about him at large.
but here's the thing. Okay, so you need to create space to add a defenseman. Say it's Matt
Mm-hmm.
Dumba. Say it's Zadorov, as we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's okay. Dumba's making, I think, 5 million. Zadorov's making 3 something. With what space? They don't have any space. They're LTIR'd out. Are you going to trade TJ Brody, who's one of your best defensemen right now? That's counterproductive. Who's taking Klingberg? Who's taking Samsonov? You don't have the ability to open up cap space. And
right.
So I don't know how they are going to do it. That's the challenge for Brad Treliving, and we'll see over the next few months whether he can do something like that.
Honestly, Mike, the four horsemen, that's your ride or die, at least for the rest of this season. And then the chips will fall where they may in terms of William Nylander coming back to Toronto, earning what he's entitled to based on how he's put up points. Potentially taking a bit less because he wants to stay in Toronto, or he goes somewhere else, gets paid, and all of the Nylanderites are brokenhearted forever. It's just kind of the way we're headed, right? And again, I don't believe this is a collapse. I don't think that this is a total failure. It's what, 12 games in. What I'm seeing, it's not so much how they're playing, it's the players on the ice. I don't believe that this group, the way it's constituted, the way it's put together, the way it's coached, the way it's managed, can be, one of the top five teams in the league, even with those guys running hot, because that those four are going to do what they have to and get theirs. Mike, if I'm wrong, great. I hope I'm wrong, right? You know what I'm saying? So, what are you working on HockeyBuzz.com?
Well, tomorrow I'll be previewing the game against Calgary. It sounds like that they may go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. If they do that, then Reeves probably sits. Maybe they spoon feed Klingberg's minutes. Jake McCabe may be coming back. So we'll be looking at the lineup for tomorrow night.
OG's converts, like the content, subscribe to the channel. We shall be back for the Sunday Spectacular. The question is, what will we be talking about? A team that's kind of pulled up its socks and gotten a couple of wins against West Coast teams? Or do they lose a couple more? And, it won't be me, but maybe many others will be hitting the panic button. Again, we take it in stride, game by game. And if there's slight improvements and something that makes us feel good, then we will enjoy it. If it makes us feel worse, then we will do what we typically do, come together as a group and cry our eyes out, because we all love the blue and white in our own way. Right, Mike? Have a good night, my friend. Enjoy the games to come, and I'll see you Sunday. OG's Converse, thanks so much. We're up.